Well, it's a very good morning to everyone, and it's raining outside. I'm trying to dry clothes in here, so there's clothes hung up everywhere, including the kitchen. It's a beautiful morning despite the rain, because of course it's April, and you know what they say about April and April showers. So now I want to say a big thank you to Roy. Thank you so much, Roy, because I did eventually get your parcel. The delivery driver was sort of a bit bewildered because he kept trying to deliver it to next door. And of course next door aren't even there. So I got a little message in my mailbox on Friday that Stephanie next door popped into my mailbox to say that this delivery driver was trying to make a delivery. So here we go. I finally got this, and a massive thank you because of course, can you guess what it is, folks? It's a white screen. So I'm just thoroughly delighted. So thank you very much, Roy Woolstonholme. And also thank you for the book. Mushrooms. It's a really fantastic book because it's actually got photographs of all the relevant mushrooms, and quite complex photographs at that. So showing the top and the side and the underneath, and oh, there's my letter. Sorry, I'm not going to show that. Right, now I'm going to go outside. Excuse me, just to show you the amount of rain that's falling. Fortunately, I got the rain barrel rigged up, so that's collecting all that rain. Massive amount of willow was cut over the weekend, so that's what I was busy on yesterday, cutting back willow. And I've got to tie all that up and stack it. So tie it into about 10 or 15 bundles and then stack it. So, I'm just going to sit down here. I haven't made my juice yet this morning. I'm running a wee bit behind. I've got so many tasks to do today, and most of them are away from the cottage. But I've also got to do a little bit of work over in the tunnel because I've got planting to do. My daughter brought me up this lovely plant here, and it's actually a euphorbia. And if you look over there, I've got euphorbia, which is the lovely lime green one, growing just about everywhere because it does spread. But this is a beautiful red one with sort of lime green flowers. So I've got to find a good site for that because that's going to spread. And of course it's one of those lovely early spring flowers, which I love. Because my word, but we do actually need to have this, show of life as soon as possible after the winter has ended. So euphorbia comes up very early on. Now there's a little evergreen tree there in that basket, and that basket was a gift from last year. So I want to be planting that little tree as well. If you look over there at that shaped tree, a little bit of topiary there, that's exactly the same tree as is in that little basket. And in fact, yep, I do remember. That tree came as a little gift in a basket as well. So there's no off limits to trees here. Whatever I get, I plant. So I'm just going to take Jack in because there's a a funny old noise going on outside there. Come on, Jack. Strange kind of a noise. It's hard to distinguish what it is with all the rain falling. It sounded like thunder and then it sounded like a howling. Weird. Anyway, talking of weird, I want to share something with you. Now, just on this rainy morning, something to share with you. And it was brought back to my memory, I think it was the night before last. I was sat watching something about UFOs. And you know how sometimes just things come together, they seem to kind of fall into place in your head. Well, that's precisely what happened the other night. I was watching this YouTube program on UFOs and suddenly it occurred to me that one of the first things that struck me when I bought this little cottage here was that there was a UFO Society in the town of Boyle, which is approximately 8 miles away. And the UFO Society was founded, oh gosh, if I can remember the name of the woman who founded it. But she founded it because Boyle was known across the whole island of Ireland as being almost like the centre of UFO sightings. Okay? So what's unusual about Boyle and the area around it? Well, not too far from Boyle itself would be the very oldest known settlement in Ireland, and that's at Rathcroghan. And then Boyle itself sits on a plain, a limestone, sort of a plateau. And in and around Boyle you have all these incredible lakes, and you also have a wealth of trees. I mean, it's very unusual in Ireland to have anywhere where you have a wealth of deciduous trees, but there appears to be quite a lot of them around the area of Boyle. And if in fact you look at Google Maps and you focus in on Boyle and Lough, Loch Arrow, that's sort of in a valley running all the way down to Sligo, and you have all this beautiful forestry. And I'm not talking that Sitka spruce monstrosity, but I'm actually talking about real old deciduous trees. And one of the first things that struck me when I kind of explored the area 14 years ago was that what sprung to mind was that this was the rainforest of Ireland. Although in comparison to many other countries, of course, very few trees. So looking at Ireland as a whole, Ireland has got the lowest tree cover in the whole of Europe, deciduous tree cover. But anyway, I'm going off piste again, so let me get back to Boyle being the centre of UFO activity here in Ireland. Whilst I was watching this programme, there was lots of images of known sightings. And one of the images that kept coming up again and again was sort of like an oblong rectangular shape. And then I recalled the Midwinter feast of 2016, when my son and his family visited us from Canada. My daughter and her husband visited us from Belfast. My eldest daughter was here with her sons. We were all together. And my brother Cormac was here, and my brother, was Hugh here? I don't think Hugh was here. Cormac was here. But anyway, we had a little fire out the back. And the fire out the back was just beyond my little veranda. So you can see the old fire pit. You see it's surrounded by stone out there. So that's where we had assembled. And we had this little fire going. And we were all talking and singing and laughing and making merry. I mean, we were outside, which is pretty unusual for the 21st day of December. But we were outside and we were making merry. Now, where I'm pointing towards the hill, okay, right up there. And just above, I mean, literally in parallel with where we were standing, and above the hill, this light appeared. And it was in the sky, and it was exactly the same oblong shape as I saw on this video the night before last. And it hung there in the sky. Now, let me just say this, because we weren't a bunch of fools around this fire. My son Dylan actually trained as a pilot out in Canada. So in order to train as a pilot and get your commercial license, I mean, he had to do, I don't know how many hours of flying, including a massive amount of hours of night flight, right? So he was the one who spotted it first of all. And to be honest, it actually freaked all of us out. We all watched this, and we must have watched it for 5 full minutes. Then it seemed to disappear. I mean, we had to look at it through the trees as well. But it disappeared and then it came back again. Now, that's not the only time that we've seen something in the night sky that we cannot account for. But what intrigued me about that particular event was that my son being here and being a pilot and knowing what to expect to see in the night skies, obviously, was absolutely baffled. So I went through the usual, possibilities. Oh, could it be a light being shone up at? No, it definitely wasn't that. Because it was actually an object in the sky. And then I thought, okay, well, possibly it's one of those, what are they called? Chinese lanterns. So we watched it steadily, expecting it to move if it had been that. No, it didn't move. It literally was static in the sky. But it did get to a point where it started to move a little bit jerkily, in a kind of a jerking motion, up and down, but only slightly, only very slightly. Anyway, this must have carried on for a good 6 or 7 minutes. I mean, it was not fleeting. And then it disappeared. Just disappeared. I can't account for it. What intrigues me more is that Dylan could not account for it. And my son-in-law Ian, who's a very rational, logical, university-educated guy, could not account for it. And my brother Cormac, who has spent countless nights away on various field trips and camping and very used to the night sky, could not account for it. And certainly myself and Cara and my daughter Kate could not account for it. And we were trying to put practical suggestions as to what it could possibly be, ranging from the everyday to the incredible. But nothing fitted the picture. Just amazing. Anyway, so that got me thinking then about this area being the UFO centre of Ireland. And then it struck me as I watched this video on YouTube that within every country there appears to be particular parts of each country where there seems to be a profusion of UFO sightings. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you because it has got me thinking. And you know, sometimes you need to be reminded of something in order to put other things into place, to kind of slot them into some kind of understanding. And I was having this conversation with my brother Phelim yesterday on the phone, and we were talking about fairies, because of course I'm writing about fairies at the moment. And one of the things I said, Phelim, remember that as children we were programmed to understood what it was we were looking at, to understand what it was we were looking at. And of course all people are programmed in that way. And I don't know about you, but certainly what I've experienced is that when I see something that I've never seen before for the first time, my mind goes into a sort of a very mini sort of spasm. What is this? And I'm deftly researching my memory banks for a picture that fits. It's a bit like the Google search engine. You know, you can actually put a picture in and then see if it's come up anywhere before in a search engine. Don't know if you've ever done that, gone to Google Images and uploaded an image and you know, asked Google to search where else is this image, and Google will normally come back with a series of images. Well, we couldn't find that one, but these are similar ones. And I think that's how our minds work. So there you go. I mean, just my thoughts on this rainy day. And again, thank you very much, Roy, for that white screen, because that's incredible and wonderful. And thank you. And I hope to be able to put that to good use as I go about seeing if I can fit a programme of school visits or community hall visits into what is, of course, a very busy schedule for me. I mean, I'm actually stood here now with my coat on. You can see I've got my coat on because, of course, I'm going out shortly. So I'll be sort of in and out, and I've got to go and do some work in the tunnel as well. But some interesting things to think about. And anyway, any of you who want to research that UFO Boyle, Boyle is spelled B-O-Y-L-E, and Boyle is my local town here in Roscommon, and it's I'm sort of equidistant between the towns of Boyle and Carrick-on-Shannon. So, there you go. Blessings to you all.